All right, some word problems. Everyone's favorite. Now, I know sometimes we get a little nervous, but just remember, just think of the story. Think of what's happening. Think of what you know, and then go from there. All right? They don't have to be scary. And we see them in real life, so we want to be prepared to handle story problems. My first piece of advice is, if possible, write the answer as a fraction first. Now, that's not always going to be possible depending on the type of problem, but if it has to do with percents, remember, percents are very connected to decimals and fractions. So if you can write a decimal or a fraction, that will help you write your percent. So Carter got 4 out of 5 correct on his exit slip. What percent did he get? Well, if he got 4 out of 5, we can write that as a fraction. And now we just have to change it into a percent, like you have been doing in all of your lessons. So remember, a couple of different strategies. We could write it out of 100, we could make it a decimal, and then a percent. Let's write it out of 100 on this one. So I can do times 20. We just did this one, I think, on the last one video, if I remember correctly. So 80 hundredths is an equivalent fraction, which equals 80%. So he got 80% correct. Keep in mind, these are this is actually how teachers figure out grades, at least partially. So this is very real world. This is not like some weird situation. Out of Alana's t-shirts, 60% of them have superheroes on them. If she has 25 t-shirts, how many of them have superheroes on them? How many don't have superheroes? So this is a little harder because we are trying to figure out, what is 60% of 25? Right? If we can see all the 25 shirts, we need to figure out, well, what's 60% of that? If it was what's 60% of 100, well, we know 60 out of 100, right? Okay, so we need to find an equivalent fraction that's out of 25, because she only has 25, but 60% is the same thing as 60 hundredths. So we're essentially just rewriting the fraction so it's out of 25 instead, because we want to know the same sort of, it's called a proportion. It's a smaller number, but it's still the same amount relatively. So divide by 4, divide by 4. 60 divided by 4 is 15. So if 60% have superheroes, we know 15 t-shirts have superheroes. And then if she has 25 total shirts, that would be 10, since 10 plus 15 is 25. So 10 do not have superheroes on them. But again, I just wrote my percent as a fraction. I started with what I knew. Then we were looking for 25 was the new total. So how many out of 25 is equivalent or equal to 60 out of 100? Okay? If you come across the one on your worksheet like this and you're still confused, let me know. It's okay. Ibrahim wants to buy some board games that cost $100 total. If he has a coupon for 15% off, how much will the games cost? Also, very real world. I have coupons and I want to know, how much off will I get? Or it says it's on sale and I want to know, well, how much is that sale then? How much does it cost when it's on sale? Okay, very practical to be able to figure out. Well, I know 15% I can write as a fraction. So 15 out of 100. So I want to figure out, what is 15% of 100? Well, I already have 100 as my denominator. So I know that 15% of 100 is just going to be $15. So if it's $15 off, that means we are subtracting. So I can do 100 minus 15. And I'll figure out, oh, the games cost $85. We do this with tax. I do this with a tip. I need to figure out, it's customary to tip 15% in a restaurant. So I'm not saying you're going to see all these problems like this, but just keep in mind there's a lot of real world situations involving percents. All right, last example. Marcos played 20 games with his baseball team. They won 30% of their games. How many games did they win? How many games did they lose? Well, if he played 20 games, okay, we can keep that in mind. They won 30% of them. All right, well, let's turn a percent into a fraction because that's often more helpful. There's other ways to do it. In middle school, you'll learn ways to do it with decimals as well. For now, I'm just showing you this strategy, and then you'll expand your strategies later. So 30% is the same as 30 out of 100, but we want our total to be 20 instead of 100. So I'm going to write 20 on the bottom. So now I just need to write an equivalent fraction. And I know that if I do 100 divided by 5, I'm going to get 20. And then I just need to also do 30 divided by 5 to get 6. So then he won 30%, so they won 6 games. So then how many games did they lose? Well, if they played 20 minus 6 is 14, so they lost 14. Bummer of a season, but hopefully they still had fun, right? If you get stuck, totally fine, let me know. If you want me to show you some of the other strategies, I'm more than happy to do that. I just tried to pick one that was simple as we're learning this first skill, right? We start simple and then we get more complicated as we learn more. Let me know if you need help. Good luck.